Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Dr. Jeff, the Chief Medical Officer at Rythmia here in Costa Rica. The reason they call me Dr. Jeff is because I have a doctorate degree in psychology, and I trained at UCLA studying public health, where I got my master's. And I'm from Los Angeles, and I've been here with Jerry since the beginning and formulating the programs and the licensing and everything that we do here at Rythmia. And it's been amazing. It's been an incredible journey. We've seen almost 13,000 people through these doors. So the numbers are really high as far as our experience with people, and it's been amazing. I've learned a ton. So, Jerry is in a series of talking about Blessed by Design, and he's talking about our program and what you can do to realize all the things that you deserve in life. There's so much that's going on in this world that is really challenging and always has been. But I think because now we have access to, unlimited information, we're seeing and feeling more of the pressure and the struggles of the world and in our own lives. And things are really complicated in a lot of ways. So what I like to talk about when I teach some of the classes here at Rythmia, and when I talk to a lot of the guests just about how they're doing and checking in with them, I talk about a concept called dissociation. And what that means, we all go through it. And some of us we mildly dissociate, and some of us very strongly, severely do. And that's a human defense mechanism that we all have. And it's ways to survive difficult situations. And some of those situations it's a whole range. It can be emotionally difficult situations or physically challenging things. A good example of an emotional dissociation is military people. They are in a war, and they're unplugged and dissociating in order to behaviorally survive and get through the battle. And they're not connected to their emotions completely during those battles because the emotions actually get in the way of survival. So it's a tactic to sort of survive situations that are dangerous or scary or overwhelming. And all of us have this ability to unplug and dissociate. It's called the fight or flight response. And some of us have been doing this since we were very little. And I know I have. I've been doing it since I was probably 5 years old or even younger because of my upbringing and the environment that I was raised in. Now, what does this mean? Like, why is it important to address dissociative issues? Well, the reason is because if we are in sort of a cruise control mode in our lives about being unplugged and disconnected to things, and we're just kind of like going through the motions, and we're working, and we're going out to dinner, or we're spending time with our family, but we're really not connected to it. We're really not feeling emotionally present. Then that can be a problem. And when we're emotionally unplugged and dissociated, that can lead to a whole array of problems, such as addiction, such as anxiety, depression, all kinds of emotions that are overwhelming and problematic that lead to a somatic response, meaning a physical response. So if I'm holding in anxiety, or I don't want to express anxiety, so I just unplug from it and I just kind of like pretend it's not there and just kind of keep going, eventually that anxiety is going to catch up to me, and it's going to create maybe a panic attack, or it's going to lead me to start drinking alcohol in excess, or use drugs, or do something to keep the unplugged dissociative vibe continuing. Some of us that have severe trauma from childhood have what's called a dissociative identity issue, which means that we're so unplugged and disconnected from ourselves that we've fragmented into various different pieces, and we're trying to get back to who we really are, but it's a struggle. It's very challenging. So most people go through some sort of dissociative experience in their life, or might be in a dissociative state. And the way to naturally plug back into yourself and no longer be on this sort of cruise control, sort of unplugged sort of way, is having a daily practice. And I teach the guests here how to do that. And having a daily practice is really important because it helps you plug in and connect to yourself. Some of us like to do that first thing in the morning. with it, whether it's exercise or meditation or taking a walk outside. Or some of us don't have time. We're rushed in the morning. Like me, I got a couple little kids that I'm trying to get off to school. So it's kind of hard to do that in the morning. So I like to do it before I come home from work for a little bit. I'll do a little exercise, or I'll do something where I'm just with myself, connected to me, and I'm mindful about my breath and where I'm at in my life and what I'm thinking about. And I try to just connect and plug in and feel. That's the goal. I need to feel emotions. Now, if those emotions are really scary or unresolved or are based in trauma, connecting with yourself is a scary proposition, and we don't want to do it. And that's why we just resist it and we push it off and we delay it. And that's why it builds up over a lifetime. So how do you get past the initial stages of trying to stay connected to yourself and get past your dissociative sort of tactic? Well, first and foremost, you need a really safe environment to do that. Some people find that a therapist is a safe environment. Some people don't resonate with that. Some people find that exercise and being on a team sport helps with that because you can kind of connect and plug in while you're there with these other people. But a lot of us just don't feel safe getting past that first hurdle of trying to connect. So that's what Rythmia is. Rythmia is the place where you can jump over and through that first obstacle of really trying to connect with who you are. Our entire program is based on helping people connect with themselves. And this is a very safe environment. The staff that work here are amazingly friendly, safe, and good people. The Costa Ricans are some of the happiest people in the world. And the reason is because they're very connected to themselves. And they live in a beautiful country. And they have beautiful things all around them. So it's really easy to be happy here, I guess. And that energy passes over to you when you come here. And we have all different modalities that are used to help you plug into yourself. We have meditation, we have breath work, we have yoga, we have super high vibrational organic foods, we have plant medicine, we have a ton of staff that can talk to you and help you kind of like stay focused on what you're here for. We have a beautiful grounds. There's lots of downtime. We have hydrocolonic cleanses. We have body work with massages, and there's a spa, and there's volcanic mud and hot and cold plunges. And just this entire program is based on helping you plug in and connect to yourself and to feel safe to do it. Because being connected at the beginning is a little scary for people that have a ton of unresolved things. So if I'm unresolved in my sort of emotional process from childhood and now I'm in my 50s, that's a daunting sort of task. And I would tell myself, I'm good enough. I'm successful enough. I'm happy enough. I don't need any of that kind of stuff. I don't need to really address the dissociative, unplugged vibe that I've been living with my entire life since 5 years old. Well, I tend to disagree with that, because if you're just white knuckling and getting through your life based on unresolved emotional trauma, you have no idea what it's like to have that behind you, because you started feeling that way when you were a little kid. And being past that and actually healing that is really what living is about. It's really feeling connected to yourself, because if you're not connected to yourself, you can't connect to other people. It's impossible. And some of us might have found partners or friends or significant others that are okay with that because they themselves are not connected. And like tends to find like. And so if you're unplugged and disconnected, but you're in a relationship that is also that way, well, then you guys haven't been able to reach necessarily the highest levels of self-realization and happiness that you can actually find in a thriving, healthy relationship. So what I encourage people to do is come to Rythmia, see what this is about, because all of these modalities help you, first of all, feel safe, and then do the work to connect and plug into who you really are as a person. And that work is not easy, and it takes some focus. But we have so many staff here that are here to support you in this process that 97% of our guests have this happen while they're here, which is an incredible number. I'm used to having success rate numbers from back in Los Angeles for different facilities I was working in and managing, whether it was a psychiatric hospital, a drug or alcohol rehab, a therapeutic sort of outpatient facility, or even inpatient hospitalization, which I trained at in UCLA. I'm used to like very low success rates in a Western sort of model, 12%, 10%, 8%, maybe at the highest 15% of success rates for what the various goals were at those facilities. That is actually really disheartening. And when I learned that as a grad student and a postdoc, and I saw that, wow, maybe 12% of the people I work with will actually get healed from this protocol, it was really like discouraging. And I said, there's got to be something else out there. There has to be a different way to do this. So how can you help people, and how can you provide an environment for people to actually do this work? And you know, what I was taught in school, there wasn't anything. I wasn't taught anything. I was taught just the textbook sort of stuff, meds, individual therapy, group therapy, occasional inpatient stay, whether it was a rehab or a psych hospital, and just kind of like hope for the best and just grind it out. And to me, that's not acceptable. I want a modality or a series of modalities that actually help people do the work. And so I went on a journey within my career to find out what these things were. And I started to learn more about different philosophies and different ideas and different things that would actually help people do their own work and connect with themselves. A lot of this I learned in Hawaii when I worked for an agency that had a Department of Health contract. And I learned in Hawaii that being connected to the land, being connected to nature, and having family unity and working together as a group and being able to really realize and figure out who you are as an individual through empowerment, sovereignty, and connection were recipes for success. So I started to bring a little bit of that sort of mentality that I learned in Hawaii over to the mainland when I got my doctorate. And I was trying to use these sort of like self-empowerment techniques with my clients. But the struggle I was finding was there wasn't a lot of opportunity for that was out there, that wasn't either really expensive or required constant follow-up. And the people I worked with were very high risk. My 3 patient populations in Los Angeles were women with sexual trauma, people that were in locked psychiatric hospitals, and people that had addictions. And people with addictions and have those sort of histories, behavioral histories, are very high risk people because they're very emotionally sensitive and they're trying to just get some stability. And the methodology that exists out there is very liability ridden. So what happens is that, people often ask me, they're like, well, all these doctors, they're all trying to they're just out for themselves. Like it's not the case. It's not the case. Like doctors, therapists, master's level counselors, MFTs, you name it, all the people like in a Western model of healthcare, they all are following the methodology and the protocols that are given to them by their licensing boards. And so if I see a patient in my private practice who, back then, who I thought maybe could benefit from some yoga or from some meditation or from plant medicine, that wasn't something I could actually recommend to them because it wasn't in the protocols of what legally I was supposed to be following. So if that patient responded poorly to those sort of holistic suggestions, then I would be on the line for liability. And so what happens is the system itself is broken. It's not the doctors, it's not the therapists, it's not the counselors, it's not it's not them. I mean, there's always a bad seed, right? But generally speaking, it's not the healthcare Western practitioners that are the problem. It's the system that's the problem. That's the problem. And so stepping out of that system takes some courage, because it's what we've heard our whole lives. We've heard that, these doctors are the experts. My therapist is the expert. Well, yeah, they've learned a lot of stuff in school. I was one of those people. I learned a ton in school, but I'm still not you. You have to do this work. You have to do it. I can't do it for you. But what I can do is I can provide an environment of safety, and I can sort of like point you in the right direction. That I can do. But really doing the deep work requires your own effort. And that can be a little scary, like I'm mentioning. So that's why Rythmia exists. It exists so that you can do the work. You can do it at your pace. You can do it. You're at the helm. If you want a little more plant medicine, you can have some. If you don't and you're set, you just cruise. and you just follow the suggestions of the shamans, of the healthcare practitioners that work here. We have nurses and we have medical doctors that are licensed here in Costa Rica. We have tons of staff here, and they're all here to provide guidance and safety for you. So being dissociated is a natural human trait. And some of us have that trait very much amplified because of trauma, fears, and events of the past. So it's time to come past and move past your fear. You got to do it if you want to be completely happy and realized and grounded in who you are as a person. And guess what? It's not as scary as you think it's going to be. That's what people always tell me after they've been through the process. They say, you know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because those fears that you're holding on to, those fears that are blocking you from connecting, those are childhood fears. And in childhood, we were scared about different things, and we didn't have a full knowledge and a full understanding. And those fears have snowballed into our adult lives, and we think they're insurmountable, but it's not the case. Most people tell me, wow, I wish I'd done this years before. I always tell them, well, it wasn't time for you then. It's time now. Now's the time to come, get your miracle, which is plug into who you are, get your soul merger, heal your heart. And first of all, you got to see like really who you've become and what you're showing the world. That's the first step. Like, who really are you dissociating from? That's the first step. And then after you figure out that, wow, you know, I am so inauthentic with people that I'm inauthentic with myself. You have to see that first. You have to see like what your ego has evolved into. So then you can address it. And that's when you get the soul merger and you come back to yourself. And that's the healing in that. And that's the healing of the heart. And those are the intentions we teach here at Rythmia in order to help people plug into themselves and feel connected. So go to our website, go to our Facebook page, Rythmia, call our 800 number, book your stay. It's a week long program. Get down here and do the work yourself. You won't regret it. Thanks. Nice seeing everybody. I'm glad I got to fill in for our CEO, Jerry, today. It's always an honor to fill in for him. I can never really fill in for him, but I like getting the opportunity to see all of you and talk to you. And thanks for listening. Pura vida from Costa Rica. Hopefully I'll meet you guys soon. Thanks for watching.